During the Second World War, the Russian soldier would normally wear these tall leather boots and breeches, and like in the First World War, they didn't wear socks. They used to wear strips of material wrapped around the feet. And also, like in the First World War, they were still using the Mosin Nagant rifle. That first came out in 1891. That was had a 5-round fixed magazine. I'm not an expert on rifles and firearms, so if ever you want to find out more about them, just go on YouTube and look up forgottenweapons.com. It's an American chap called Ian McCollum. He's covered nearly every rifle you can think of. And also in the Second World War, there was a shortage of rifles and machine guns for the Russian soldiers, and it was quite common when they were attacking German positions. They would attack in 2 or 3 waves. The first waves would have all the weapons, and the second wave may have had no weapons at all, and they were told they had to find and pick up a rifle from one of their dead comrades. If you ever watch the film Enemy at the Gates with Jude Law, you'll see that happening. It seems like it was quite a common occurrence. This is the summer uniform. It's a lightweight pullover tunic with metal buttons. Then on the leather belt there are 2 ammunition pouches on either side. The main case of the ammunition pouch are made of faux leather, but then the fastening straps and the little piece at the side of the lid, that's real leather. Then we have the large poncho cum shelter half. That's rolled up and put over the shoulders and fastened, all held together with a canvas strap on the left hand side of the picture there. Then there's the side cap that has a small metal badge at the front. On the left hand side they would carry their straight handle entrenching tool in a canvas case, and then a water canteen on the other side, and then their personal possessions would be in a simple rucksack fastened on the back. This is the Russians' straight handle entrenching tool. There are some markings on the lid of the case, but I can't make them out, but you can just about make out the stamp markings there. It's 1943. Just about make it out there. Manpower wasn't a problem for the Russian leader, Uncle Joe Stalin. By the end of the war, there had been 34 million soldiers in the Russian army, and of those, about 8.7 million were killed, along with 19 million civilians. Original German Panzer uniforms are very expensive these days, so I'm afraid this one is a replica. Just the belt and the headphones are original. Like one day I am hoping to save up enough money and get one. They are available. I could get one tomorrow, but they're just so expensive. But it's a really smart uniform, all in black, pink piping round the badges. They'd wear a grey shirt and black tie, and over that was a wraparound jacket. And then the side cap, originally they used to wear large berets, and when I was at school, a lad in my class, his father had one of these wraparound jackets and a large beret. And I remember one time I was walking home from school with him and got to his house and his father was out. So Michael went inside, put on the jacket and the beret, and he hung out the bedroom window so we could see. It's really impressive. I just wonder if he's still got that. It'd be amazing if he did. After the First World War, as part of the Treaty of Versailles, Germany was not allowed to make tanks, but when Adolf Hitler came to power in 1933, he started to make them secretly, And by 1938, he was quite open about it. He didn't care and who knew then. And because they were quite late coming to make tanks, theirs were quite modern and up to date. Like a lot of the French and British tanks were getting obsolete by then. And most people, when they think of German tanks, they think of the big German heavy Tiger tanks. But at the start of the war, like the Battle of France, the Germans were only using the Panzers, the 1s, 2s and 3s. They were only medium tanks, which were quite effective then early on. But by the time they got into Russia, and the Russians brought out their T-34 tanks, they found that they were no match for the Russian tanks. A lot of them Panzer 3s were withdrawn from Eastern Europe and moved on to the Mediterranean. But by 1942, the Germans had developed the Tiger tanks, the big heavy tanks, what most people think of. And the Tigers, they were made actually up till August 1944, but it's all a bit too late for them by then. One of the biggest tank battles of the Second World War was the Battle of Kursk in Russia in 1943. That was part of Operation Citadel, Germany's offensive trying to cut off the salient of Kursk. But because of information from British intelligence, the Russians knew the Germans were going to attack, so they had time to build up their defences in depth and bring as many tanks as they could up there. So when the battle started, the Russians had 3,500 tanks available, and the Germans had 2,500 tanks. That's 6,000 tanks. That's just, you can't comprehend that, just in one battle. And the battle, it was a fierce battle. It only lasted a week, but it ended with the Russians being victorious. And the Germans had their, like the Luftwaffe, they had their aces. One of the most well-known German tank commander was a man called Michael Wittmann. And in June, 13th of June, 1944, after the Allied invasion of Normandy, he knocked out 14 Allied tanks, 15 personnel carriers, 2 anti-tank guns in just 15 minutes. But then later on in August that same year, he was ambushed by some Allied Sherman tanks and he was killed.